Welcome to another episode of Rick Snip and the Cool Kids. I'm your host, Rickety Snip, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite shows, Big Time Rush, and all the shows I've been binge watching the last few days. First and foremost, Big Time Rush. Now, if you aren't familiar with the show Big Time Rush, it is a show that aired on Nickelodeon in, I believe, 2009, and it featured 4 teenage boys who were from Minnesota, who were discovered by a failing record producer who become a boy band. And basically, it's just a really fun sitcom on Nickelodeon, where they made music and showed the ups and downs of trying to make it as a boy band in Hollywood in a post-boy band world. Very funny. And just someone on Big Time Rush did something funny. You guys should check. It's all on Hulu. The whole show is on Hulu. So, basically, episode 1. Here's episode 1. I'm going to break it down for you real fucking quick. Gustavo Rock, music producer in decline, needs his next big break. Do you know what he does? He goes across the country on a massive media tour to find anyone who can help reinvigorate his career, reignite that spark that made him such a powerhouse of the 90s pop scene. Enter Kendall Knight. Kendall Knight is not your typical high schooler. He plays hockey and has really big eyebrows and a bowl cut. His haircut changes in the show, don't worry, it changed. The bowl cut was a bad look. It was a post-Bieber world. Everyone was very into bowl cuts. They thought that was the only way to do your hair, and a lot of bowl-shaped mistakes were made in children's media and at my own school, my own personal life. People who had the bowl cut know who they are. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. Enter Kendall Knight and his 3 best friends, James, Carlos, Logan. That order's not very significant, but you know what it is. You know how it is. I'm still watching this show. But anyway, so James, this is important. James really wants to be a pop star. He sings all the time. It's a little annoying sometimes, but he loves it. He's the biggest singer. Carlos and Logan, meh. Kendall can sing about as good as James. They're both very talented, but Kendall doesn't really give a shit about singing professionally. He wants to be a professional hockey player. Blah, blah, blah. That's not true in real life, though. Anyway. So, they all audition, and Gustavo Rock is very, very mean to James, and Kendall is not. I'm sorry, I shouldn't recap the first episode. You've seen the show. If you haven't, watch it. It's really fucking good. I love it. The reason why I like Big Time Rush so much is because it's a really, really good premise that a lot of children's media producers all tried to copy. At around the same time. It came out around the same time as Hannah Montana, Victorious, iCarly, and all those different shows. And one thing that you notice if you pay attention to what happened at that time is they tried to launch the music careers for... They tried to generate music careers for pretty much all of their content, all their properties. And so Big Time Rush was one of the first ones that Nick ever did, where it was like they would create a show about a person who would do music and like be famous And then they would actually take the music that they made on the show and go out and market it to actual consumers. And they would go on tour and become they made a show about a fake boy band that they turned into a real boy band. And that's why I like it. It's just so smart. Like, because anything you make in the studio you can just use on your show, and you don't have to like you can do music videos on the show, and it's just it eats up a lot of time. You don't have to do as much. It's just a really cool show. I also just like it. Wow, what the fuck? Also, the songs fucking slap. Like, the songs are bangers. Like, if you ever listen to them, it's like, yo, this song's actually pretty fucking good. The same thing with like Hannah Montana. Like, Hannah Montana isn't a real person, but like they took Miley Stewart and they turned her into a legitimate fucking superstar. Like, Miley Cyrus is A-list celebrity now, but before that she was just Billy Ray Cyrus's kid, and then she did her show, and they turned like Hannah Montana went on tours, and like Hannah Montana songs have gone platinum. She is arguably almost as big a star as she was when she was Hannah, when she was Miley. Which is pretty hog wild if you think about it. Jesus. But yeah, no, it's such a good fucking, so good. You guys should check it out. Did you know that like, James and Kendall were the youngest ones in the band? Fucking insane. I honestly thought that James was like 20 and everyone else was like 16 or not 16, but like 17 or 18. It turns out like Kendall and Carlos were 19 when they were on the show, and yeah, did I say Kendall? I meant Logan and Carlos were 19, and Kendall and James were 18 when they were on the show, which is older than I thought everyone was, and then younger than I thought. Like, genuinely, James is just so big. I thought he was like 1,000. He had like 5 o'clock. Like, he looked like a grown ass man for most of the show. But again, he also has that bowl cut that everyone was trying to market, and it just was not a look that was working for anyone. Oh well. Now we're gonna get into the other show I've been watching an awful lot of. As some of you may know, I recently got DC Universe, the app, on my Amazon Fire Stick, and so I've been watching a lot of Titans, the live action show. I've been actually following that show for years, like all the pre-production stuff, like the casting, and all that stuff for like a very, very long time. Because when I first heard about it being in development, I was like very stoked about it, and then it sort of fell off and it got lost in the works. And now they have a final finished product of season 1, and it's really fucking good. I don't know the names of all the people in the show, but like the performances are like really good. Particularly Starfire. Like, I really liked what they did with her character. She is not like, when they did character design for Starfire on the show, you can tell that like the writers of the show weren't aggressively horny. Like, it's just such like, whenever people do Starfire, they're usually like horrifically sexually aroused when they're drawing her. It's like, oh, let me draw this cartoon with the biggest yellow boobies, and let me put no clothes on her. Just no fucking clothes, because I'm a pervert and no one can stop me. But they don't do that in this show. Also, like she's not afraid to like kick some ass and like beat people up. I really like that. The main storyline for this season in Titans is basically Raven's dad, who is Trigon. Yeah, Raven's dad, who is Trigon, is trying to use her as a portal so that he can come to our world and destroy it. And so there's a lot of, like, a huge cult and organization that's like working pretty much the entire season to like kidnap Raven away from Dick Grayson, Starfire, and Beast Boy. There's also cameos from other super people in the show. So Donna Troy's in the show. The vigilantes Hawk and Dove are also in the show, which is pretty interesting. Hawk is played by Alan Ritchson, the guy who plays Thad in Blue Mountain State. Dude's actually a pretty solid actor. He was always funny in Blue Mountain State, but he was also like a very good dramatic actor. He's also fucking massive. Just the hugest, biggest beefcake I've ever seen in my whole life. And then Dove is played by Minka Kelly, who's a absolute fox. It's not just that she's hot. You can tell that she actually got in like crazy good shape for this. Like, there's a scene where she's doing ballet and dancing like a ballerina. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm watching Big Time Rush, and this show's really fucking good. And I'm sorry. It's embarrassing, but no, it's not embarrassing. I unironically love this show. I'll keep watching. But yeah, she's damn, I did it again. It's gonna be real awkward. I'm gonna have to edit those out. I might not. What was I talking about? Train of thought. Donna Troy. No, Minka. Yeah, no. There's a scene where she's doing ballet, and you can tell that she's like probably practiced like the actual choreography for that ballet scene. It's not someone else, like an actual dancer or a substitute or a stunt person doing it for her. And she also just looks like she got just crazy good. Like every muscle on her body is like formed to like fill a purpose, and they execute it so well. Like, she looks really strong, athletic. She doesn't just look like generic hot girl who's like the teeniest, tiniest that they just threw in the show. And I love it when they do that for superheroes. Like, it's not realistic if for someone who's like teeny tiny and has no muscle definition like at all in any way, shape, or form to like be a fight. Like, if they've been fighting their whole lives, or like a certain part of their lives dedicated to sport, like, you're going to look different. Your body's going to be shaped a different way just because you've been so active and physical your whole life. Like, her character's been doing ballet, jiu-jitsu, and a bunch of other like hip-hop dance stuff, and so it's like, yeah, no, she's going to look a little bit different than just hot, which is cool. And so Hawk and Dove are a couple, and they also work together to fight crime. And so it's a really cool dynamic to see, because you can tell the toll that the crime fighting has taken on both of their bodies. And so they sort of want to retire, but they don't know exactly how they can retire after they've been hurt, without the money they need from like certain jobs. So that's a storyline in the show for Hawk and Dove. One of the biggest arcs in the show is Dick Grayson, who's apparently just quit being Robin for Batman, but is looking to do some solo work as Robin. He's not so sure about his identity as Robin because he feels like he's been slipping into Batman too much. He's been getting just a little bit too violent and aggressive with it, and so he doesn't like that, and he's trying to stop doing that and be a little bit better. And so, like, a whole lot of the show is, like, people trying to tell him, like, what do you want Robin to be? Do you even want to still be Robin? Like, how do you want to work? Like, how do you want to fight crime? Because you can't not fight crime at all. But you can't, you can't do nothing because you don't want to do nothing. But you also can't keep doing it the way you've been doing. So you have to, like, they've basically been teasing Nightwing and like his transition from Robin to Nightwing for the first season. I think season 2 is when we're gonna see like a final, like, formal introduction to Robin. But in this one, like, Batman's pretty brutal, I guess, because Robin does some pretty fucked up stuff to people, and if he's like, I don't want to be anything like Batman, it's safe to say that Batman's been doing some pretty wild shit too. Also, you get to see Jason Todd, Robin's replacement, which is always interesting. I really like it when that happens, because Jason's cool, and you can already see that he's got more of a temper than Robin, than Dick did. He's a lot more aggro, and he likes hitting people and fighting and like getting into the shit. Like he loves being Robin, and he like worships it. He thinks it's the coolest thing ever, and he's just very. I'm blanking on the word because I know so many words. I know too many words. You ever feel like that? You ever feel like you know too many words and you just forget which one? Like you know that there's a very specific and precise word for what you're thinking, and you just forget it. It's whatever. But yeah, no, like Jason is very into being Robin. He loves working for Batman, with Batman, and when they meet, he actually is saving Dick Grayson's life, which is cool. Who else am I for? Beast Boy. With Beast Boy, you get to meet the Doom Patrol, and the Doom Patrol's getting their own show, which is cool because it means Brendan Fraser's coming back, and I fucking love Brendan Fraser. I'm so glad he's coming back to Hollywood and making movies. He deserves more. If you guys haven't been following, Brendan Fraser was sexually assaulted by the same guy who grabbed Terry Crews's balls and sexually assaulted him, and that sort of sent him into a disaster spiral, which is why we haven't seen him in the movie so much. And I loved him in that movie, Looney Tunes Back in Action, and George of the Jungle, and the Mummy movies. And so I'm very glad that he's happier, healthier, and he's ready to do, more good stuff in the pictures and the movies. And so I'm very much looking forward to Doom Patrol because he plays Robot Man, and then there's Mr. Negative Man, who looks a lot like the Invisible Man from H.G. Wells, but I don't know. And then there's Rita, who does shape-shifting. I don't know exactly what Rita does yet. Her thing was weird, but it was cool. And then there's Chief, and Rita's husband should be making an appearance at some point in the show, but it's a very cool, very, very cool show. And you guys should check it out on, like, either steal it from somewhere. Don't steal it, but steal it from somewhere. Or watch it on the DC Universe app. Because the app's, I don't think, that expensive. And there's, like, a bunch of stuff, too. You don't just get access to, like, the DC shows. You also get, like, all DC comics ever. Like, straight to whatever device you have the account on. And so that's pretty dope. If you're into comics, you can I can follow, because the hardest thing about getting into comics is finding the specific storyline in the specific universe and the specific continuity and run or whatever, and then trying to follow each storyline, because sometimes they feed into each other, sometimes they don't, sometimes it's an alternate reality, sometimes it's a totally different author, and it's just very hard to get into. And so that way it gives you a very good resource for all things DC Comics. Also, I think they have a lot of older DC movies. I think they have all the old Supermans. I think they have the Michael Keaton and the Val Kilmer Batman movies. And they also have this new movie I just watched called The Death of Superman, which is basically the animated film for the comic Superman Doomsday. It's where Superman fights Doomsday and dies. It's basically what happens in Dawn of Justice, if you saw that movie. Or there's another animated movie, Superman Doomsday, where the same thing happens. And then they just released recently the sequel to that movie, which is Reign of the Superman. Yeah, so it's Death of the Superman and then Reign of the Superman, which I haven't seen yet. I'm very excited to see it. But the thing I love the most about this current run of animated DC movies is they're all in the same. It's a huge, connected cinematic universe. I mean, I get that it's animated, but it's better than anything the DC universe has put in live action in years. And the movie stretched back quite a while. I think it all started with a lot of Batman movies. Then there's some Justice League. Then there's a Flash movie, and that's in the canon. I think there's a Superman movie in the canon. I don't know if there's a Wonder Woman. There's an Aquaman movie, though. I think they're gonna do a Cyborg one. I don't know if they've done a Cyborg one yet. I hope so, because Cyborg's a really interesting character in this one. And I hope they do a Wonder Woman one. She's cool, too. But yeah, no. The Death of Superman, basically all the Justice League tries to fight Doomsday, and they do, and it doesn't go well, and so Superman has to fight. Like, this is not a new story, so I don't think I'm spoiling it. Like, everyone knows there's one thing that beats Superman, and it's Doomsday. Like, that's not a big spoiler. I think the spoiler's going to come in Reign of the Supermen, which is a movie I'm hoping to check out soon. Yeah, so I'm going to be looking forward to doing that right now. Not right now. I'll probably check it out the next time it's soon. The next time, not the next, as soon as it's available for download or rent on Amazon or on the DC app. For whatever reason, it's not on there yet, which is weird. And then the other show I was watching the last few days, if you guys were watching my my stream on Twitter or whatever when I went live, I was watching Young Justice Outsiders, which is the third installment of the Young Justice series. Now, this is an animated universe that is separate from the DC cinematic canon, but it's not quite in the same universe as all the other DC movie. No, it's not. It's not. It's in a different canon. And so in this one, basically, you have all the sidekicks from members of the Justice League form their own team and go on covert operations. They're sort of like the Black Ops disposable, expendable team that go places that the official members of the Justice League couldn't go because they get too much flack for it politically and stuff. And so basically in Young Justice Outsiders, there's going to be some spoilers, but a lot of this stuff would be addressed in episode 1 of season 3, and it doesn't affect seasons 2. Like, it's not something that would ruin the end of season 1 or 2. So basically, Lex Luthor is head or a very important player in the United Nations, and he's been sanctioning the Justice League more and more and giving them more and more restrictions that they have to face and deal with. And so they've sort of not been able to operate in the way they would like to or in the capacity they want to. And so season 3 sort of starts off with Batman and a good portion of the Justice League separating and starting their own superhero agency called Batman Incorporated. Superman's not really present in this season. You see him for like a brief moment, but he's off planet most of the season fighting, trying to help repair relationships between Earth and other planets. You do see some of the Justice League. What I will give them is you see the most members of the Batman family in one arc. I think in a cartoon, in the animated spectrum of DC Comics. Like, Jason Todd is there, Nightwing's there, Batwoman's there, Batgirl's there, she's Oracle now, Tim Drake is there, Damian Wayne is there. Like, all of the characters are there. They're just not fully realized yet. But they will be, I think, in season 4. And so you see a lot of the sidekicks. They started off as kids in season 1, and then they grew up and matured, and the team looks a little bit different now. It's got a different composition. There's like new people coming in and out of the team, and they look like there's like many different parts of the show. And season 3, like, I couldn't go into it without going into like all of season 1 and 2, and I don't feel like doing that right now because there's a lot, and I also don't remember too much. But it's a pretty good like, all these shows I'm watching I think are objectively good, and I think if you like superheroes and that sort of thing, you genuinely enjoy them. So you guys should check them out. Oh shit, the mean girl from Ned's Declassified is on this show. It's buck wild. It's so weird how, like, she's actually around the same age as those two dudes. And then she was in New Girl, I think, a few years after this. You know that dude from Ned's Declassified is like a musician now? It's crazy, huh? What movie did I see recently? I saw Split. Have I talked about Split? Split's a really good movie. I think critics shit on Split because they don't like M. Night Shyamalan. I don't know how to say his last name, but critics just don't fucking like that dude. Not to say that like there is no flaws in the movie. There's some like I don't know. The twist makes the flaw with the movie worth it, I think. But like the flaw with the movie is like it's pitched as like it's the ultimate battle of super beings. Who's gonna win? The good guys or the bad guys? But like, spoiler alert. Alright, you can skip here. So spoiler alert. The climax of the movie is just Bruce Willis and James McAvoy fist fighting in a parking lot. And so, like, cinematically, it's not visually striking or spectacular, but it's still, like, it's cool when you watch it, but it's not like, but like, I do remember when I was sitting in the movie theater, I was like, they are just sort of fighting in a parking lot. I was kind of hoping, like, they do have super strength, but they're kind of about as strong as, like, Five Guys. You know? Like, they don't know any martial arts or cool things, so it's not like they can do all these cool tricks and flips and shit. It's just sort of like Bruce Willis punched this guy really hard, and then James McAvoy punched Bruce Willis super hard, and then that's the whole fight. Now, it's not like the whole fight, but that's pretty much how it went. It goes like back and forth of like thud, thud. It's like, I don't know. I'm already saying there's spoilers. So Sarah Paulson's the bad guy. Kinda, I guess. It's a good resolution. It's a good resolution. Like, it ends in a good way where they could do another one, but it's ill-advised. I do wish... Like, I do like that whole trilogy, though. Unbreakable, Splits, Glass. Like, those three movies released together, so good. So very good. Like, if you watch, like, that 3-pack of DVDs that's gonna come out, that triple feature, is gonna be phenomenal. I'm defo gonna cop that on Blu-ray for myself. But I don't think I want to, like, Solo? No. Movie marathon? Yes. That's a movie marathon with the fam. You get some pizza, some popcorn, some caramel, some Cracker Jacks maybe. You got yourself a lovely evening with your family. Maybe even some friends or a lover, perhaps, if you have a lover. A significant other out there, and you want to watch some kind of heady movies, go for it. Oh shit, speaking of heady, there was like a super meta moment in Young Justice where like Beast Boy was going through this really fucking weird dream, like he was having a nightmare, and the nightmare basically put him in Teen Titans Go, and they had a whole scene of Teen Titans Go, but it was like dark and trippy as fuck. It was so weird and good. Like, it was all drawn like Teen Titans Go, and like all the voice actors from Teen Titans Go were playing different people, but they were like filling the same roles. So like the guy who does Robot Man, in Young Justice anyway, was voiced by the guy who does Cyborg in Teen Titans Go, and the guy who does like the girl who does Starfire was voicing Rita in Teen Titans Go. And it was just so fucking good. Like, and basically like it was telling like the origin and the tragedy of the Doom Patrol in that universe, and it was really fucking smart. That was a really cool thing that the Young Justice people did. They're like, Teen Titans Go? Yeah, we just showed this person getting murdered. You think we give a shit? Awesome. Awesome season, actually. Really good. I'm gonna edit that out. I'm gonna edit out the sound of me drinking water. What was I talking about before that? Yeah, Split. No, not Split. Why do I keep getting Split and Glass confused? Yeah, no, the movies are good. It's a good movie. What was really funny was I went to see that movie with a friend from work, and like right as we were leaving the movie, his girlfriend called him and said, "Hey, do you want to go see a movie?" And I was like, "Ha, that's funny. There's no way it's gonna be this same movie." And then she was like, "Do you want to see the movie you just saw at the same theater you were just at?" Like, literally the next showing that was happening in the next 5 minutes. At that same theater, she was like, "Yeah, let's go check it out." I was like, "Oh my god, that's fun." He didn't tell her that he'd seen the movie already until later, but man, that was really fucking funny. I like it. That was fun. Okay. What else? I wish they would make more staple films, like more genre films. Like, I wish people would just go for it and make more genre films instead of trying to do remakes or reboots or sequels. You know what I'm saying? Not to disparage sequels or anything or reboots, because, like, there are some movies that have really cool premises but didn't have the technology to, like, do them justice entirely. Like, the Dawn of the Rise of the Revenge of the Return of the War of the Planet of the Apes is truly a cinematic masterpiece that Andy Serkis 100% deserves an Oscar for, because he single-handedly made all of us care about that franchise, which honest to God, you could not have paid me to see one of those old ones with the people in the makeup or the weird ape masks. But seeing that shit happen today, absolutely. I would absolutely pay money to see the new Planet of the Apes. That's super cool. But yeah, it's weird. It's just strange how so many people are like I don't know, like, go for it. Like, it doesn't have to be the most accessible big blockbuster. Sometimes you just go for it and make a cool move. Like, Happy Death Day, super, like, Blumhouse Productions is one of my favorite production companies out there, because, like, they keep doing staple films in, like, really not staple, genre films in really creative, interesting ways. And it's like, I think they were the production company behind Get Out. Like, they were the vehicle for Get Out, I think. But yeah, like, they have this new one. They did that movie Upgrade, which was basically Venom, but instead of a symbiote, it was a robot, which was pretty sick. They did Happy Death Day, and that movie's really interesting because they brought it back in a whole new way. So the trailer for Happy Death Day 2 is like, it's a totally different dude who's getting killed by the murderer, and this time, like, the girl gets brought back into it from the first one, but, like, everybody's in on the loops now, so they have to not only beat the killer, they have to beat the killer before he can kill anybody, because if they beat him and someone dies, they pretty much have to, that person stays dead, so they can't beat him if one of them dies. Which is so like, one of them will die, and then I think they, like, all have to kill themselves immediately after, because that's how they wake up. Otherwise, it just keeps going until the last person dies. But yeah, it's yeah, no, I just want more, like, romantic comedies are a really good, like, the only people with the balls to make them anymore are, like, Lifetime or Netflix. Like, Netflix does it kinda, but, like, no, like, The Princess Switch, it's a fucking hilarious. I love cheesy Christmas romance movies that are like Lifetime movies, you know, where it's like, this busy woman has no time for a man in her life. She couldn't possibly find love. And then all of a sudden her boss is like, "You don't know what love is. I'm sending you on assignment to small town Christmas Fuckburg." And they have to, like, stay in the most Christmassy fucking town ever. And then there's one guy who has, like, you can tell who the main love interest is because he has, like, 7 jobs. Which is weird that, like, porn for women is, like, a dude with a bunch of jobs. It's really fucking funny. The dudes are like, no, girls love dudes who work. They love dudes who are always doing stuff. Like, there's one, I shit you not, where like this girl gets picked up by the taxi driver, and she's like, oh, thanks for the ride. And then after she gets out of the taxi, so does the taxi driver, and he walks into the hotel with her, and he steps behind the fucking desk of the hotel, and he's like, I also work at the hotel. And she, and it's just so funny how he's like, yeah, I'm gonna stop taxiing for the rest of the day to do hotel stuff now. Oh shit, halfway there. Oh man, this is a great song. Come so far somehow, we're halfway there. I'm sorry, I'm not. It's so, I legally can't do that anymore. Literally barely fair use. But yeah, no, like, go for it. Make that. Also, we need, like, speaking of sequels, there's one sequel that we all deserve, and it's Scott Pilgrim, because that was supposed to be a movie franchise, but I guess it didn't do financially well, but everyone loves that fucking movie. I don't know a person who doesn't like it. But yeah, it's stupid good. And yeah, no, like, if you're gonna do something, you have to be willing to, like, I love sci-fi. I think sci-fi is one of the best genres out there because it's so vast. Like, you can do, like, oh, what's the future? Or it's space travel. Or you could do, like, Black Mirror, and it's, like, it's technology that could very well exist today, and we still don't understand all the ramifications for it. Or you can do, like, Independence Day, like Alien Resurgence, or a Pacific Rim type movie, or Star Wars, or Star Trek, or Space Wars, or Starship Troopers, or whatever bullshit, you know? Like, there's so many different things you could do with sci-fi. Like, one of my favorite movies that I saw, I think last year, was Annihilation, with Natalie Portman. That movie was fucking Natalie Portman, Tessa Thompson, Gina Rodriguez, and another really fucking good lady actor whose name escapes me right now, but it's a fucking solid film. It's trippy, it's heady, it's interesting. Like, there's real, like, it's not just like, oh no, something, like, it's not just jump scares. Like, it's crazy. And, like, I don't know what they could do for a sequel, but it just looks so good. And Oscar Isaac's there, too. Crazy good movie. Also, Ex Machina. I think that's another Alex Garland film. That movie's great. And that one's about, like, this dude who builds a robot to see if it passes the Turing test, and Domhnall Gleeson's there. And he's invited to see whether or not it passes the test, to see if he can tell whether or not it's a robot or not. And he winds up falling in love with the robot. And the whole, like, I don't want to give the movies away. Please watch these movies. They're very good. Another one, Arrival. Arrival's so fucking good. Amy Adams deserves an Oscar for Arrival. Holy shit, she did such a good job in that movie. Why doesn't Amy Adams have an Oscar? Amy Adams is a brilliant actress. She's one of the best actresses of all time. She could be in any role, and I would believe anything she told me ever. Why? Why aren't more people upset that she doesn't have an Oscar? She's one of the best actresses ever. Like, do you guys remember that one where she was in a cartoon, and then she came to life, and she was a princess in New York, and everyone's like, that's not how real life works. You can't be a princess. Princess of what? What country? Where are you from? She's like, oh, Fantasyland. And like, that's not a country. Point to it on a map. She's like, a map? Like, I'm not a pirate. Why would I have a map? Point to it on this globe, then. What's a globe? Like she played that princess so dumb and great. And then she was also in, she's also Lois Lane. Very good Lois Lane. Very, very good Lois Lane. Justice League was a mistake. Warner Brothers, I don't get how Warner Brothers has such a successful animated cinematic universe, and they can't get their fucking real cinematic universe to work, you know? How do they not get the They have excellent casting. Aquaman is super fun. I saw Aquaman in 4D, guys. I keep talking about it. Have I talked about this before? I think I've told so many people about seeing Aquaman in 4D. But I honestly think that's the way most big superhero movies, I think they were meant to be experienced in like they're meant to be more of an experience instead of just a movie. Because 4D, like, the seats, like the movements for those seats, is so precise. Every time there's any movement in the film, you're moving. So it's like it's a ride. It's not just like, oh, like there was a chase scene and I literally got thrown around all in my seat and they're like shooting lasers, and so like they would shoot little bursts of air right by my head so I could feel like bullets were whizzing by me, or like it was snowing and they shot fake snow in the fucking theater and had it fall down in the screen, like in front of the screen. Like, that's amazing. Like, that's how all movies should be experienced if they're those big, like, I can't imagine how insane Star Wars episode whatever would have been if I'd seen it in 4D. Also, speaking of Star Wars, prequels are better than the original. A lot of people don't agree. A lot of people are prequels, that's so dumb. But those are old people. They're also, no offense to any of my listeners, they're also white people. So, to anyone who disagrees, let me just offer up something. Let me offer up just this little thing. Name one thing in the entirety of Episode 4, A New Hope, that's just a tiny bit more interesting than a single frame of Darth Maul. Name one thing. Go ahead. I'll wait. You can call in. You can stop the podcast right here. Pause it. And then call in. And you record it. And then you take this podcast and you record that. And then you edit in your response. And you make it seem like we're having a back and forth. But here's the thing. It's not going to matter because there's nothing. There's nothing. There's not a single frame in A New Hope that's more interesting than anything Darth Maul says or does. I don't think he says a word. I don't think Darth Maul says a word, and he's single-handedly more interesting. Liam Neeson being in a Star Wars movie is more interesting than anything that happens in episodes 1 or 6. The only genuinely, like, classically good Star Wars movie is 5. And that's because it's fucking bananas. I think they dropped the ball in the new Star Wars by making it so the good guys are rebels again. I think they went a little bit too far with the whole resistance theme. Like, the Empire shouldn't have been able to build a whole new Death Star planet. They shouldn't have been able to, like, rebuild their empire all over again after the Emperor got fucking he got murdered. The Emperor's dead. There's no way. There was no one in charge. You're telling me someone jumped in charge that quick? Like, it's been 20 years. They lost control of the galaxy in 20 years? I thought they won. Star Wars 6 leads you to believe that the good guys, the Rebel Alliance, wins. And then we go to 7, and they've lost again. The worlds suck. Like, the worlds suck. The galaxy fucking sucks. And it's buck wild. How? How does everything suck still? Did you mismanage that so bad? It's just, they overdid it. They keep trying to sell, like, how destitute and sad everything is. It's like, and then in episode, 8, they kill off, like, almost the entire rebellion. There's literally, like, 12 people left. And 4 of them are, like, Finn, Rey, Rose. Finn, Rey, Rose. That's 3 out of 12. That's 1/4 of the entire Rebel Alliance. Princess Leia, which, hey guys, I don't want to get morbid, but what is the plan for that one, Chief? Why did we get rid of Mark Hamill? Why we get rid of Luke? If we know, like, guys, hey gang, what is the plan for episode 9? I don't know. I don't have it. I can't do that one for you. I have no idea. I have no idea what you can do when it's like, okay, and now the Princess Leia scene. Oh, wait. What's the plan? But yeah, no. Like episode 1, there's a civil war. It's not just, oh, it's 2 very big governing bodies. And there's a lot of politics and, like, real stuff that they have to worry about. It's not just like, oh man, we're getting killed again. Oh man, we lost another group of people again. Like, there's a back and forth. Like, and I think the storyline of Anakin going from the like, he's literally the Messiah. He was made from virgin birth. The Force is literally Anakin's dad. He's Jesus, okay? That's what they wrote. Anakin is Jesus. And then we see him transition from young, hopeful, spunky kid in episode 1 to broody teenager who does a genocide of an indigenous people in episode 2. Now, the Sand People were not great. They were not nice. And he did have a right to get some revenge. Not that much revenge. He kind of genocided when he should have just took out a couple guys. So, also, it's super fucking weird that Padme was like, my boyfriend just committed genocide. Let me hold him and hug him because he's sad about it. That's also weird. Hey, that's a weird character choice. George Lucas. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. I feel like I've talked about Star Wars on here before. But I've been thinking a lot about Star Wars and how the originals weren't as good as everyone makes them out to be. But yeah, no, like Jar Jar's one bad thing about the prequels. There's a lot of good stuff. Natalie Portman, for one. Also, episode 2, everyone shits on the Clone Wars, but do you know what the Clone Wars has that no other Star Wars movies has? A gladiator arena full of 40 laser sword wielding Jedi. I'm sorry, 40 lightsabers in one scene. Where is an iota of that many lightsabers in a scene ever in any other Star Wars flick? It's not. Hey guys, gang, it's not. They don't put shit for lightsabers in those goddamn movies. I don't know why. There's a dinosaur-headed Jedi who tries to kill Count Dooku, and a guy in a jetpack shoots him in the fucking face. Do you understand? Do you understand how dynamic that is? Like, where was that in episode 4? You know what happens in episode 4 with the one lightsaber fight, I think? You know what happens? An old guy and a robot cross swords, and then the old guy turns into dust. Whack. Absolutely garbage. Whack as hell. And then, and then you see and then from episode 2 to 3, you see Anakin go from, I did a genocide by accident, to the single most feared and cataclysmic Sith Lord in Sith history. Literally, almost single-handedly hands over the entire Republic to the Sith. Pretty much almost all by himself. And purges all Jedi in the galaxy. Like, it's literally Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda, and like one other fuckhead somewhere else. Literally like one other fuckhead. You know how buck wild that is? It's insane. The Chosen One did this. And then in episode, oh my god, you guys, Ewan McGregor's speech to Anakin in the lava planet, the whole, you were my brother, Anakin, I always love that. If you have one of those speeches in a movie, I'm always like, yes, this is good stuff. This is great. It's always a good thing to have in a movie. This whole episode is nonsense. It's following no sort of train of thought. But I always feel good whenever I do an episode. I'm still working on the other podcast. It's called The First Encounter. Yeah, it's called The First Encounter. I'm hoping to be done writing it before my birthday. By the end of this week, for sure. I want to be done writing it. And then, I want to have recorded it also by the end of this week, or started recording it. No, I want to have recorded my dialogue for that one by the end of the week. So I'm looking forward to that. And then once it's done, I will post it on the other feed. It'll hopefully it's gonna for sure be on Apple Music, Apple Podcasts. But hopefully I can get it on Spotify. It'll probably be on SoundCloud too. I'm going to get another SoundCloud for it. But hopefully it'll be on Spotify, and Apple Music. It'll be on the Google Play Store too, as well. Just like this podcast is available on. I think it's also available on YouTube also. But yeah, I'm gonna do that too. And it's gonna be on YouTube. So I don't know, just get it wherever you can and tell me what you think. I've been working really hard on it, and I'm very interested in keeping it going. If you have any topics you would like to hear talked about on the podcast, feel free to email them at givemefreesocks@gmail.com, because we have not changed the email. It still links to my phone, so givemefreesocks@gmail.com. Send in them, not questions, but just topics. Like, this is what I think is interesting, or I disagreed with what you said, or I really agreed with what you said. Or, want to promote, like, you're going to promote something. Like, for example, Owen's Twitch stream, or Reese's Twitch stream. Check those guys out on Twitch. Owen is at The Winter Tablet on Twitch, and Reese is at BigBrain66 on Twitch. So yeah, check those guys out on Twitch. Reese usually streams himself playing chess and listening to music, and Owen usually streams Overwatch. I think that's going to change when Owen gets his capture card, and I think Reese will stream other stuff too, like him, like coding stuff and him making stuff.